Alright, ready to dump it out? Mark, so murder. I told you.
My name is Ruby Horansky.
And I'm Joe Horansky. We've been married 43 years.
Of marital blitz. Yeah, we tell friends that we're living in a padded cell.
Yes.
Because the rate at which we produce the quilts, we don't have room to hang them all.
We belong to the Quilters Guild of Brooklyn, New York. We belong to the Empire Quilters Guild in Manhattan, in New York. And we belong to another group called the Studio Art Quilt Associates, SAQUA.
We formed a group that we call the Gang of Four, which is a critique group that's supposed to meet monthly, and we challenge one another with projects, and we critique one another's work in progress. But that's an invaluable thing, not just to show the work, but to have people you trust to get an opinion of ongoing work. This is a quilt called Plaid Play. Now here you can see it's heavily embroidered because I didn't really get it right, the color and the tone, to get that transparent effect. And so I sat with this thing for I don't know how long, bringing up a color, making it darker, making it more intense. And in the end, I'm pleased with it. But it takes so long to finish a quilt. And people in the guild will say to me, you know, you finished it and then you went on working on it? And I've been known to take it off the wall because I feel finally that I am an artist. It took me a long time to feel that way. And if you don't perfect it to your own satisfaction, then it's not a piece of art. Then you're just producing something to fill a space. And I don't want to do that with my time.
I agree with that. Just wanting to express what's inside, just get it out, which I've never, it was always working on something that somebody else designed or created and copying it, so to speak, and now I'm creating my own stuff. I'm doing my own thing the way I want. It doesn't matter if people like it or they don't like it. I have to like it. And if they like it, that's great. If they don't, okay. So they don't get it. As long as I get it, that's okay with me.
This is the table we share. And there's an imaginary line down the middle of it. And one half is Joe's and one half is mine. And if anything should happen where his fabric inches over, I begin to yell encroachment. And he fixes it. People will give me, I use a lot of recycled garments. And so I'll take the shirt and I'll knock off the buttons, which I may use in a quilt, and take it apart and it'll become part of a quilt. So I like to do that, recycle stuff. And we help one another. That's been a blessing because I have a quilter on premises that I can consult with, and he's very, very good in so many areas, and I've been using that.
And Ruby is good in other areas.
Yeah.
As you can see, our quilts are really different.
We were shopping in Lancaster in a fabric store, and Joe was carrying bolts of fabric that he wanted, and a woman came up and she said, "Oh, isn't that sweet? He carries your fabric for you." And I said, "He is a quilter." Oh, and people have stereotypes, you know, that it's got to be a woman So it blows their mind.
Yeah.
This is one of my earliest quilts. I didn't know what I was doing. On the other hand, sometimes I do my best work when I don't know what I'm doing. I started this quilt because I had to institutionalize one of my daughters. Yeah, Huntington's is a neurological disease. It's hereditary, transmitted with a dominant gene. And all her clothing was here, and I couldn't part with it. It had been hard enough to part with her. My both daughters had Huntington's, and they're both dead now.
And my two daughters had Huntington's, and my son is safe. He had genetic testing at Johns Hopkins Hospital and was told he's not carrying the gene.
The doctors hate this disease. There's nothing they can do for it except watch it. And we think, well, maybe she hears, so we try and say, hey, Mom's here,
Dad's here.
Dad's here, and does she hear us? We don't know. So it's a very hard visit for us, and what kind of life can it be for her? And it goes on. She's on a feeding tube. Otherwise, she wouldn't be with us. And some families have said no to the feeding tube.
And watch their patients die.
And we can't do that. So this is what it's like. I found that the grief I was feeling was comforted by the tactile feel of the quilt, the fact that I had something I could hold on to even when my daughter wasn't here.
Anything I can do to get away from that for any moment is a blessing. So quilting is a blessing for me. Fishing is a blessing for me. Ruby is a blessing for me. I can talk to her and
Ditto.
And talk to her, and who better understands it than she?
And I want to say something also about the work. Work has given me a place to be creative, even at times of great loss. And I know I go there for solace, and I lose myself in the work, and I get something back. At the Japanese award ceremony, we were given these catalogs, and since we didn't have a common language, we would approach one another and with the book, and somebody would come up to you and say, and you'd find your quilt, and you'd point and say, oh, they'd say, oh, and then they'd hand you a pen, sign. So, and I would do the same, and it was so cute. We were running around, oh. And so I have all these Japanese, it was like autograph day at your high school. I have all these Japanese signatures and people wishing me luck and happy trip and all that. And it's just a sweet memory of a nice afternoon.